Hello! Welcome to this quick little tutorial on style guides in Webflow. Why you need one, why they're amazing, and why you should take time to make it your own before you dive into your website project. So, if you're not familiar with Webflow, it's kind of an amazing web hosting platform that a lot of people are jumping over to, and if you're anything like me, you may have dived in head first without really knowing what you were getting into. Today I have taken a template, one of the free templates, one of the many that Webflow offers. So this is their free e-commerce store template. A great base to build a beautiful site upon. They have lots of other free templates and very low cost, reasonable options as well. Style guides are super important, and with the Webflow free templates, and I assume, although I have not checked with their paid templates, style guides are already there. If you have done your own thing, or maybe you downloaded a template and completely deleted the style guide, not to worry, you can replace it very, very easily. So if you have a template from Webflow and you're just jumping in, you most likely have a page already that says style guide. If you do not, and you got ahead of yourself and started designing on your own, or you deleted that page because you thought you didn't need it, no problem. If you don't have this page, you're going to want to go to Pages and click this Add button. Now, because I'm just previewing this template to show you how to use it, it won't let me add it, but you would add a blank page and call it Style Guide, and then you would want to add in the elements you want to style. So that would be headings, paragraph, text link, block, quote, not rich text. We're going to take care of that with heading and paragraph and link text. You'd want to add in buttons. I also recommend adding in the lists, not a list item, a list, for two reasons. You never know when you're going to need them, and it's easier to edit it from the start. So here's what a list looks like. You have ordered and unordered. So I like to add in two. That way I can have both of them styled, and that's that. So the second one we'll call ordered. You'll notice now it's has number 1, 2, and 3. And there we go. Ooh, I put a list inside of a list. So there you go. Now, you want to be sure you have all of those things on here, as well as buttons. And that should be all that you need. Yeah, I would recommend just a button as well, so you can style that. So if you don't have your own style guide, or if you want to add in lists to the style guide that you have, that is how you create one. If we're working off the style guide that was provided on the site, oh, here's our other list. Anyway, we're going to get rid of that. If we're working off of the style guide provided by Webflow, you're going to want to set this up according to your brand. And now you're saying, Sarah, I don't have a brand. No problem. If you don't have a brand just yet, but you have a particular font that you've been using across social media, or maybe you're just building your presence, you want to establish that brand here. Take the time to really set this up consistently, and that will do a few things for you. First, consistency is key when it comes to retention of your customer base and building your brand and community, right? You want things that are showing up on your website to be consistent, as well as on your social media accounts, in email form. All of the channels that you're using should use the same fonts, font sizing, language, all of those things. And setting up a style guide on your website will help you build that out. So that is first and foremost. Second, you just look more professional if you have a style guide, because it ensures that you have consistency across all of the pages on your website, enhancing the experience for anybody visiting so that it looks seamless to the outside view. That's key. And thirdly, it is going to make your life so much easier. It may seem a little cumbersome to set up a style guide, but really the idea behind it is that will drive everything else and save you loads of time and lots of duplication moving on in your website. So Now that you know why you should have one and what benefits it'll provide, let's look at how we adjust it a little bit. So you can see here that the style guide, my button's a little slow here, is set up already for you in this particular template. And what they've done was created these classes. If you're doing this yourself and you've added in headings and you want to create some of these and mirror some of these, you're going to want to be sure that you create a class, right? So when you see the drop down, this blue tag here is a class. And you're going to want to call that whatever makes sense to you. It doesn't have to be heading jumbo. You can call this, big bold heading 1, big bold heading smaller. The naming isn't as important as is the consistency and what will make sense to you as you're using it. So as you can see, they've done a couple of these unique headings here, and then they have the rich text elements. Rich text elements include these headings 1 through 6. So if we just click on this little gear here, it'll bring up heading type 1 through 6, and it also includes paragraph text. So we see that a little bit further down the line here. Okay, paragraph text. So those are rich text elements, and basically what that means is rich text allows you to create and format things. This is the box, the rich text element box that's brought in, and you can use this across your site to just kind of drag things in quickly, so you don't have to drag in a header and a font and a paragraph. Rich text does that all for you. But in order for it to look how you want it each time you drop it in, you need to take a little time to set up some of these fields. So you have the paragraph field. You can set up text link fields, block quotes. I see they don't have that in here. So I would add that into really anything that you think you might use across your site. So if you have any line breaks that you want to create, put that in here, and you can make that a symbol as well. That would be very easy. Check out one of my other videos on how to create symbols. So there's lots of things that you can do, and I recommend doing all of them in the same spot, so you have a kind of a one-stop shop to adjust if you need be. So, things to remember in the style guide. A heading that has a blue tag is a class. Name the class something you can remember, and pick that same class anytime you want to reuse it. Rich text elements, you need to pick the corresponding rich text HTML tag. Those are always pink. Webflow did that very nicely so that it's very distinguishable. So you're going to want to pick the pink tag that corresponds to whatever heading size you're on. So if it's heading 1, you need the all heading 1 pink tag. Now Webflow makes this pretty easy for you, because if it is heading 1, that's the only option that will show up there. Heads up, you can add in a heading or create a different heading tag, but that's not going to help you. That won't be the rich text element field. So just to be clear that you really want to make sure you're picking the tag, otherwise it's not going to adjust the rich text element. Okay, so now that we have our pink heading, we know that we're in the rich text element. Here you can adjust any of the things you want to make this your own. So if this is not the font you use, there are lots of base fonts. These are the base fonts that come with Webflow, but you can add your own. They have a nice link to Google Fonts, as well as you can upload if you have purchased a font or have a font from a different site that maybe lives on your desktop. You can certainly upload that here. So lots of availability there. Of course, the weight, size, height, color, any alignment that you want to make. So perhaps you always want your jumbo heading to be centered. Just set that up here. Back to our rich text here. Again, make sure you have the pink tag. You could do the same thing here. Maybe you want this to be bold instead. Maybe you want it to be all caps. Any of those things you want to do, every time you use heading 1 now, that's going to show up. And I know you're thinking, Sarah, I don't believe you. So we're going to do that here, and you see that that is what has happened. So if we go back to heading 1 and we call this heading 2 and we create it, watch as this heading doesn't change. So as you can see, if you have the all headings tag, it will make changes, and if you don't, it doesn't. Okay, so take your time, go down through all of these, make them what you want them. Same thing applies with paragraphs, but again, remember, paragraph, you need to have the pink all paragraph tag to make sure your rich text shows up. Buttons, exactly the same. Make a couple different button elements. So this is button, and then you can add in the jumbo button class to make it a little bit bigger. So that way each time you're adding in a button into your form or on your site contact page, you can easily just add this class. Okay? And that is the easiest, simplest way to create your own style guide. Now, say you wanted to add in a couple of fun extra things aside from the basics that are here. I always like to create some lines. So you would do that simply by adding in a div block, not inside your button. Let's see. We're going to put it, yep, that's good. We'll put it up at the top so we can see it. All right, so you're going to add in your div block here, and if you want to make a line, let's call this line, okay? And we're going to adjust our height a little bit here. So we're going to make this height, let's say 10 pixels. Okay, so here's our line. It's 10 pixels, but it's white right now, so we can't quite see it. So with it still highlighted, see, here's still highlighted, let's fill it in and give it a little bit of color. That way we see what we're working with. So maybe you want this to be a nice, I don't know, dark deep blue or purple. Perfect. You can even go with the standard black color, and maybe you want it to be a little bit lighter gray. Great, no problem. So there you go. Now you have your line all set up, and you can also make this a symbol. So you're going to control and right click, and then come down to create symbol, and you can call this line. Now you can add that symbol in whenever you want to. If you want to make any changes, you would just double click on it and come back to this main line. Okay, so there you go. Now you've got some style guide pointers, and you're all set up so that when you start to work on your website, things are aligning and looking the way you want them to. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. If there's anything else you want to see, drop it in the comments and let me know. Till next time, bye!